Hello and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalists Hangout. I'm Ayodele Zubakun. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to spread in Nigeria, we must do more to keep ourselves safe by maintaining social distance. Today on the program, Lagos crosses 5,000 mark as Nigeria records 416 new coronavirus cases. And later on the show, retired Colonel Dangiwa Umar demands confirmation of Justice Monica Dongban Mensem as President of the Court of Appeal. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Solomon Ajuzogu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us again. Let us begin on a sad note today by paying tributes on one of Nigeria's most revolutionary and visionary musicians. That's Majekodunmi Fasheke. Majekodunmi Fasheke, that's popularly known as Majek Fashek. The reggae icon, best known for his song "Send Down the Rain," died on Tuesday. It is good to know that his songs are laced with messages and teachings. Let's share one of them with you. That's religion and politics. late Majekodunmi Fasheke. That's 1988 album, Prisoner of Conscience, where you had Send Down the Rain and some other hit tracks. But one thing is very good about Majek is that he took so many things after Bob Marley, and he even came to refine his own type of reggae. Judy?
And the fact that his voice was similar to Bob Marley's made him such a hit with a lot of our people. And he was also very prophetic. He would sing about something and you see it happen. When he sang Send Down the Rain, the following year, when that album was still raining, we had unprecedented rains. In fact, during a concert, it rained. It rained on him. He was singing that song and the heavens opened. That was why they nicknamed him the Rainmaker, because he sang about send down the rain, and we had rains, unprecedented level of rainfall. He also sang about the need to free Mandela. That year, apartheid died and South Africa became free. I remember that album was the album that was raining when Winnie Mandela came to Kaduna, and we received her at the Murtala Square in Kaduna. That's a day that I will never forget. You know, to see Winnie Mandela live as a journalist, close to even the podium where she was addressing the people. So he sang many socially conscious songs. And the fact that he came at a time when we had excellent reggae artists meant that he had to up his own game. You know, we had artists like the Mandators, fantastic singing group. We had Oris Williki, we had Raskimono, you know, the late Raskimono, and many others. So he had to up his game, and he became the most famous of his era. But it didn't reign for long before we started seeing the effect of substance abuse. He was supposed to play at Nigeria 99. I was there to watch the final game between Japan and Spain. He was supposed to play, but the ill effects of substance abuse made it impossible. So I can tell you,
his journey from 88 to that 1999.
I can tell you that he had been battling with this thing, from going in and out of rehab for more than 20 years. You know, so it's even God's grace that he stayed this long. But that was a fantastic talent that we lost in his prime.
Solomon, I know we are of the same generation, and 1988, what kind of memory will you have?
Well, listening to that particular song, Religion and Politics, and the quality of the sound from Tabansi Records. Of course, in those days, when you talk about record labels, Tabansi Records, Ivory Music, where you talk about Sony, you talk about the one in Abuloja. You have Emmy, you have the one in Abuloja, Aphrodisia or something. Okay. You know, so you hear the quality of this kind of music, of this kind of song in the 80s, the level of percussion and all of that, you know. And I wish
he was particularly good at bringing upcoming artists.
So when
not the established ones, but they will be great.
So when you listen to that and that voice, that sonorous voice, basically, you wish that Majek lives on, you know, that he lives longer than he has just lived.
He tried coming back several times.
He was revolutionary. He was a fantastic artist, in the sense that when you look at his kind of music, it was what you call the Afro-reggae fusion music of the 80s. He took elements of Afro music, you know, juju, fuji, and then fused into reggae. And then you hear the quality of the songs. And then he took that a notch higher when he left Nigeria and moved on to the US. And then he created he created a blend of percussion and acoustics in such a way that he created a new music he called Pangolo, you know, and you see that in all the talents when you take, exactly, so when you take the sort of songs he sang when he was in the US and you take the ones he sang in Nigeria, and you could see the little bit of difference, the evolution of his music, you know.
Been around.
So he's been around, yeah.
We just pray that the Almighty God grants Majek Fashek and the family the fortitude to bear the loss. Now, moving on now, 3 months after coronavirus landed in our shores, Lagos has continued to be in the eye of the pandemic storm. It remains the epicenter of the pandemic in the country, while the entire country surpassed 10,000 infections on Sunday. Lagos crossed the mark of 5,000 on Monday, according to the data released by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, the NCDC, following 416 new infections. The total case in the country is now 10,578. Where do we go from here, Babajide? Lagos was just claimed half of what is happening in the country. So the half of the infection. So if you have isolation centers, I'm sure by now those isolation centers would have been jam-packed. If you have 5,000 people, no matter how, the number of bed spaces you can provide, Onikon, IDH, IDH, Bagada, everywhere. That I just imagine how the Lagos State government, how they are managing this thing.
Well, it's a sobering reality for us that we are really having an exponential growth in fresh cases of the coronavirus. And as I said about 2 weeks ago, if we are not careful, we will overtake South Africa as Africa's most infected. We've already overtaken Ghana, you know, that was way ahead of us in the beginning. But there's nowhere on the continent where you find cases rising up to more than 500 a day, as we had on Saturday. We even surpassed the number of fresh cases from UK. Because from the UK, it was 416 on that day. So for the first time, we overtook the UK. And when you look at the UK and America, in terms of rate of fatalities, those are the 2 top countries in the world. So I'm really worried. Many people have chosen to handle this disease with levity because of the unfortunate stance of some Nigerians who should know better, including one of the governors of the North Central, who has been ridiculing the NCDC and giving the impression that this whole thing is just politics, is all is calm. Now our people are extremely cynical, and that is the biggest problem that we face. When the people are cynical about their government, that one is not new. But for people to get cynical about this disease and to imagine that this disease does not exist is extremely dangerous, because the measures that they should take, they will not take, since they are imagining that it does not exist.
People are dropping dead.
And people
I just got reports from prominent people in Lagos today.
You see the thing?
By evening, people will hear it on the news.
Yes, until it happens to someone. There is a man, somebody who is educated, who was arguing with a friend, and the friend said, "Oh, you said it does not exist. Would you be happy? Would you want to hug a carrier? Can we go to Yaba, where they are being taken care of? Would you muster the courage to hug one of the patients?" And he said, "No, why should I hug?" But you said it does not exist. So go and take the risk. Let's see. The thing is, until it happens to some people or it gets to their door, claims one of their children, the nonsense that they are saying on social media and other places will not stop. We are not helped by this cynicism, because this cynicism is breeding a carefree attitude on the part of our people, which is dangerous. Because if the people begin to feel that, look, this does not exist, how do you then convince them to abide by all the protocols that have been laid down? How do you convince them that they must wash their hands periodically or sanitize their hands? So this is we are in a very dangerous phase now, the phase of cynicism.
Solomon, this is biting harder in Lagos, and we've not taken the steps. We've not taken it as serious as we were meant to take it, because the way it's spreading, and I'm sure this 5,000 might just be a kind of underestimation of what is ravaging Lagos.
I have been thinking critically about what's going on. We have conducted 65,000, a little approximately 66,000 tests as at yesterday, and that's between February and now, February 27th to be precise, or February 26th to be precise, to be able to get to this point. So if since February, March, April, May, this is June, 4 months, we've been able to conduct only 65,000 tests, and we have this number of cases, 10,578 as at yesterday. It means we are moving really, really slowly. But one of the things I've been thinking about everything happening, it seems that what Nigeria is doing at this point is Nigeria is doing what you call follow. The Americans are trying to open, the British are trying to open, the advanced countries in the world where the virus had, hit much earlier are reopening because they seem to be passing the peak, as it were, and all of that. So we are just following. But the critical thing for me in all of this is that after the collapse of communism as a viable political and economic system, coronavirus and its effects has been the next big thing. And my worry is that it is also antithetical that for all the avowed, prosperity that libertarianism brings, all the prosperity of the nations that we talk about in economics, that within just 3 months, the world cannot take care of itself. It says the world has prospered, but we cannot take care of ourselves in the face of turbulence. So we lock down for only 3 months, and after 3 months, we are opening up because we are afraid of the economy. So what economies have we been building all over the years with libertarian ideology, with free market and all of that?
Nigeria is like a peculiar case. We couldn't afford to have gone continuing that lockdown on and on like that.
But the problem is, we have seen coronavirus. What next could come up that we do not know, that could be bigger than coronavirus, that will require a higher level of lockdown for a longer period of time? And countries of the world, and a country like Nigeria, we cannot lock down for more than 3 months and then take care of the people and solve a problem. Because right now, what the government has done, what the agencies of government responsible for these have done, is that they have transferred responsibility to the people. And Nigerians so far have not shown responsibility in staying safe. We're going to open the churches on Sunday. What's the protocol? Some time ago, I talked about strategy. I see no semblance of strategy. I see no enforcement. See, the English Premier League is going to start playing on the 17th. But have you been following the measures, the build-up? What they have in fact, right now, they have what you call a compliance enforcers who go to the sports centers, who go to the training grounds, who monitor everything they do. It's like a police force on its own that ensures, and right now they've even told the clubs that you have to fumigate, you have to wash your gates, you have to wash everything before you come to train, after you train. These are part of the requirement, and they are still negotiating all of this. But here, we have a situation where, okay, the churches will open on Sunday. So what's the protocol? What are they going to do? You see what's going to happen on Sunday, just like we opened on the 4th of May, and you saw people troop out, distributing the virus, the way they like. And since we opened on the 4th of May, you have seen that the figures have increased. Since 4th of May, when we opened, the figures have been on the rise. We have not peaked. My other worry about all of this is that we locked down for up to five weeks. And what did we do? The speed of contact tracing was so low, and we said that we're going to test 2 million in 3 months. We haven't been able to do that. I'm worried.
Babajide, it's projected that this same Lagos is looking at 130 to get to the peak, 130,000. And if Lagos is doing 5,000, that means we've not gotten anywhere. this is just like a child's play to this pandemic?
Well, projections are sometimes revised. We may not get to that point because that's a lot.
A lot compared to this 5,000.
That's a lot. We may not get to that point because to get to that point at the rate we are going, it could be maybe in the middle of next year before we get to that point. 120,000 is a lot at the rate we are going in terms of testing, in terms of collection of samples and all that. We are in dangerous times, but a lot of our people don't see it. If you have a fantastic strategy, you need people to interpret the strategy to help you enforce. The armed forces have not done enough in the area of enforcement. For example, a greater proportion of the transmission that we are witnessing is happening through commuting from city to city. We said no interstate travels have been banned. But it's happening every day. People boast to me to say, look, if I want to go to Abuja today, I will go. The president came on air and criticized the police, that the police have not really done well in enforcing this. But we still have not seen any improvement. We have not seen any improvement. This is not how it is in other countries of the world. In Dubai now, they are happy to fling their doors open because they locked down. They did all that they had to do. The people complied. When they were not supposed to go to mosque, they didn't go to mosque. When they were not supposed to go to their giant malls, they didn't go. The same thing in Saudi Arabia. Those big mosques, when they told them stay away, people stayed away. You will not find a single person on the road. But that's not the case with us. It even took a Saudi cleric to be telling us, Nigerians, that what is the big deal in not being able to go for Jumat prayers? Even me, I'm here in Saudi Arabia, I've not been able to go for Jumat. But we are a different people. We have taken this lightly. The people have chosen to be cynical about the virus. You can be cynical about government. Everybody in government, we have come to the conclusion that they are thieves. But to be cynical about a virus that is killing people, you are hearing stories about people that it has killed, but you continue to deceive yourself that, it is not in Nigeria. Especially young people that you assume are educated. I have now seen, in this time, I have seen that people actually mask their ignorance with unbridled arrogance. The problem that you have is actually ignorance, but you mask it with impotent arrogance and say, no, that's not happening. And you abuse those who are saying the truth. So it is unfortunate that we find ourselves here, but we still have to appeal to the agencies of government, the front-line health workers who are risking their lives, to appeal to them to continue to give their best and not be bothered about the cynicism of Nigerians and some politicians who are making aberrant comments.
Okay, on the line now we have Honorable T.J. Yusuf, a member of the House of Representatives representing Kababunu, on the line. Thank you for joining us, Honorable Yusuf.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah. We yesterday got the news of the fact that the state government has decided to lock down Kababunu local government. I represent Kababunu Ijumo.
Okay.
So they locked down Kababunu local. Nothing is true if a government decides to lock down the place for the right purpose, for the right reason. Since the COVID pandemic started, we've seen such happen. But the motivation has always been genuine. The intention is to trace, contact if there is such, and to subject people to some level of quarantine to see the symptom we show to enable them carry out effective tests. So I do not in any way have anything against it. But the manner and the story is going around when you find agents of government celebrating that the people will suffer, since they are the one that had the guts to say there is virus, hunger will deal with them. Say it is TG and Dino and Co. and Ola Olobodiyan that had the guts, or the family made this. You begin to wonder, what is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? If you have a right to disagree in certain quarters, and I've seen NCBC address the issue of Kogi the most civil way. They've not used foul language or what have you. But the moment you disagree with the state government, you're an enemy. Everybody, National State Security Advisor will insult you, Commissioner of Finance will insult you, their boys will insult you, because of the contrary, I represent Kababunu Ijumu Federal Constituency. It is under my paper responsibility to speak truth to power as a representative. I have no reason to doubt NCBC. But coronavirus infection is not a death warrant. No. Anywhere in the world, the mortality rate is between 1% and 3%. So, but there is need for people to be adequately informed so that they will prepare ahead of time and observe the protocols. So you are locking down. What have we done as a state to prepare the people? So how much sensitization have we done? What palliative have we provided for them? If you read the Gusto type of statement, say no house-to-house movement, total lockdown. It sounds punitive.
So you are not happy with this measure taken by the Kogi state government to curtail the pandemic?
I am happy with measure to curtail pandemic. But if it is laced with vindictiveness.
What do you mean by that?
Thank you. I just told you now, when you begin to hear agents of government saying since they are the one that had the guts to say they had it in Kogi, they will suffer. When you begin to hear total lockdown, no movement from house to house, how do you share palliative? You are sharing palliative. How do you give palliative to the people? No, let's be sincere with ourselves. How does the palliative get to them? Is it not done all over the world that when those things happen, people are allowed to bring food to those who are under lockdown? So I want to make something to appeal that, no, it's not a contest. Nobody is contesting right or wrong. What we are saying is that the people deserve to have the best of information so as to get themselves prepared. Unfortunately, let me say this. We have not shown enough sense of responsibility as a people. If you even hear a lot of educated people talking about this virus, you'll be shocked. People say a lot of how it doesn't exist. The theory and the story why the Kogi government is challenging the story, the what happened in Kabeza, because the son of the imam is not infected. So how can they say the imam is infected? But NCBC carry out tests on the father and the son and came out with the result that the son is free. You choose to believe that report of the son and say you do not believe that of the father. Where is our test center in Kogi? I will be very happy if Kogi comes out every day to say we've tested 4, 5, 6, 10 people and they are free. I don't want the virus in Kogi. It's not easy to celebrate. I don't want to run into Esasketa to say our people are free. But I want to be done on a proof, scientific proof.
Thank you, Honorable. I want to thank you, Tajuddin Yusuf, a member of the House of Representatives representing Kababunu Federal Constituency, Kababunu Binu Federal Constituency. That's literally Ijumo. That's okay. Ijumo area Federal Constituency. Thank you for your contribution. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still the last military misadventure in Nigeria politics. One man was a consistent vocal critic, even though he was a product of that institution. After the return of the civil rule, he continued to criticize bad leadership bedeviling the country. Retired Colonel Abubakar Dangiwa Umar is out with a note of warning. In an open letter to President Muhammadu Buhari, Umar warned against lopsidedness in the appointments into key positions in government, particularly security agencies. The former military administrator demanded confirmation of Justice Monica Dongban Mensah as the substantive president of the Court of Appeal, insisting that it would be odd for the president to do otherwise. Judy, before we talk about Justice Monica Dongban Mensah, let's talk about the appointment of Mr. President. This has raised a lot of dust. There was a time the vice president came out, brought out statistics, brought out so many things. There was one other time too that people now came out. They were now said, look, their appointments. And some other people went further to come out to say, look, security agencies around the country particularly has been an exclusive thing under this administration to the northern part of the country. Julie, how will you view the appointments of President Muhammadu Buhari so far?
Yes, Daily Trust carried a story that showed that appointments made, they called them the president's appointments, but they were actually people nominated by president's aides, like ministers and the rest of them. And they showed that the Southwest had the lion's share. You see? Southwest. Statistics can many times mislead, because if you take just one, you focus on one area, one part of the country can actually dominate one area. When you move to another area, you see an overwhelming dominance by a section of the country that was dominated in this other one. So the way to go about it, if we really want to do due diligence, or if we don't want to deceive ourselves, is to do a sector by sector analysis. That is the only way that we can be convinced. Now, if you look at those ones, how about appointments made, because those ones are ministers' aides and the rest. How about the president's aides? When we Daily Trust sit down and do that, okay. When will Daily Trust move to maybe NNPC, for example, and look at key positions in the NNPC?
Juicy ones.
Yes. When will the Daily Trust, for example, move to security? Immigration, police, customs. You know, it is when you have done that that Nigerians will now be able to say, overall, this is the situation of things. It's possible that when you do that, maybe the Southwest could still be ahead. You know, it's possible. But until you do that, many people will not be convinced.
But they're saying all the security
because the truth is,
the
the people they see, in terms of this, you know, there was an argument that I made some time ago. Of course, the president refused to listen to me. Who am I, anyway? When they had issues with the man who was heading the NIA.
Yes.
I said it at that time that, look, the ideal thing to do is when you remove, because he was a PDP appointee, I said, you were even magnanimous to let him last this long. That's okay, or what's the name of the man? I said, now, the ideal thing to do that will please people is to now, when you want to replace him with somebody from the same zone, maybe the Southwest. But what did we see? The president went to Katsina and brought someone as his replacement. So these are the things causing people like Dangiwa Umar to say the kind of things that they say. You know, the truth is, we must tell ourselves whether we truly want to continue with the federal character principle. For me, I would want a situation in which we jettison
so that we know that
strictly for
nothing like that
strictly for merit. You know, so if we go strictly for merit, wherever someone comes from, his track record will be subjected to scrutiny, and if he emerges, nobody will be able to doubt that yes, he ought to be there. But if we have the federal character principle, you know,
that's stated that so must happen.
And people cannot see that is faithfully adhered to, because it has to be adhered to on security, on other sectors of our national life before people can have that confidence. So this is the sort of situation. But talking about this woman,
Monica Mensah.
Yes.
Mensah.
Section 238, subsection 1 of the Constitution says the appointment of a person to the office of President of the Court of Appeal shall be made by the President on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council, subject to confirmation of such appointment by the Senate. It then says that the appointment of a person to the office of a Justice of the Court of Appeal shall be made by the President on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council. A person shall not be qualified to hold the office of a Justice of the Court of Appeal unless he is qualified to practice as a legal practitioner in Nigeria and has been so qualified for a period of no less than 12 years. If the office of the President of the Court of Appeal is vacant, or if the person holding the office is for any reason unable to perform the functions of the office, then until a person has been appointed to and has assumed the functions of that office, or until the person holding the office has resumed those functions, the President shall appoint the most senior Justice of the Court of Appeal to perform those functions, except on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council. An appointment pursuant to the provisions of subsection 4 of this section shall cease to have effect after the expiration of 3 months from the date of such appointment, and the President shall not reappoint a person whose appointment has lapsed. So the fear that people like Cornelma have is that this woman
She's acting
has
now.
spent 3 months.
Yes.
It's been renewed for another 3 months.
If once that 3 months lapses,
then
she might not be qualified to be reappointed.
They may then look at the person who is next
to her.
So, but the truth is, if she comes well recommended by the NJC, the NJC saw the person who is second to her before putting her forward.
It has to do with even the most senior.
Yes, that is the tradition. It's
the
real.
next on the line.
Yes. Now, if she is not qualified, the NJC will not have recommended her.
Yeah.
So if the NJC recommends her, then go ahead and confirm. You cannot pick for them. It is their responsibility to pick. In fact, after the first time, if they didn't want her, the first 3 months, they would not have said, okay, let her do a second 3 months.
3 months. Solomon, what do you make of this? Appointment and this particular woman.
When the President has constitutional provisions, when the Constitution spells out order of appointment, then the President cannot do what he likes. Now, I must say that I wouldn't be very much concerned about things that had happened before 1999. Not very seriously, because there are ample cases, ample reference points before 1999 that shows that we have seen statesmen in this country who have done the right things. These appointments under the present administration, whether in the first term or second term, have raised a lot more dust than in previous administrations before now, certainly. But like Jide talked about the federal character thing, I do not think that the federal character is exclusive of merit. It shouldn't be exclusive of merit. It is representation. It's about representation, and it is a principle that we developed in order to entrench the principle of decency in appointments. And these are very important things that we need to always consider in order to give every part of the country a sense of belonging, in the political equation of the country. When you are looking at appointments, now the articles, the breakdown that were referred to in terms of appointment, when you look at appointment, you are talking about area and sector of domination and the strata of domination.
Solomon, are you comfortable with disappointments?
I cannot say, first and foremost, I cannot say that I am comfortable. I cannot say I am comfortable. For a very long time, the security... I am not comfortable with the appointments. I think that we have seen a situation where the security apparatus of the country has been headed by predominantly a section of the country. That is certain. The appointments, when you talk about Southwest dominating appointments, you're talking about strata, you're talking about MDAs, you're talking about appointments that are not per se, that do not have to do with very strong political appointments. For instance, you remove the NIA chief, and you did not do what we call in football a like for like. We call it a like for like. And then you look at all the other areas. You had a minister of finance who was from the southwest, and then you replaced her with a northerner. It seemed as if everything has to come from the north. Even if you had somebody from the south, or from the southeast, or from the south heading a particular organization or parastatal or a ministry, it seems that when this person moves out, somebody else replaces who must come from the north. So the president has to do this, because this letter by Colonel Umar Dangiwa speaks to what I call issues of speed. Speed. The president has been very slow in acting. The president has been very slow in instilling confidence on the rest of us, certainly.
Yeah, Jide, we have situations where we even have boards, parastatals, a lot of these appointments still occupied by appointee of past administration, and some of them are even largely unoccupied, and they've not done justice to that. They've not replaced them. They are still there now, and people that even worked for Mr. President the last election and saying that, look, we are stranded, there's nothing to do. But from these sensitive ones, a lot of Nigerians are not too comfortable about it. Somebody was saying that Mr. Fowler was removed as the FRS boss, and it was replaced with another Nathana. Moise Banire was removed, and they say it was something that was signed by the National Assembly about his first 5 years. They said it's now a requirement that the person must be a deputy governor in CBN. So the law that removed him from the office worked retroactively. People are not just comfortable with this.
Yes, and the president has a lot to do to reassure Nigerians that it is not what they think. As a father, he has to be very even-handed in dealing with the rest of us. There are some appointments that are the prerogative of the president that will be difficult for us to say, oh, he has to look at where this person
like choosing his chief of staff now.
Like his personal staff, for example. Yes. Remember the first set of staff that he appointed, they were his personal staff. They had to be people that he had been used to.
Yes.
Because these are the people who will be seeing him first. They'll be the first to see him on any given day, and probably the last people to see him before he goes to bed. So you can't tell him to adhere to federal character principle.
And even elect to choose family members.
Of course. Nothing says if that person is qualified, of course. There are some people who are his relations who work directly with him, like the protocol guy and the rest of them, Kazauri, So what I'm saying is, it's not in all cases that you can expect him to abide by the federal character principle. There are some appointments that he has to look at loyalty and the people that he's been used to over the years. But given how sensitive our country is, given what we've been through, the role that June 12 plays in dividing us as a people, even the 2015 election divided us. We have the process of national healing, national integration and healing must be led by the president himself. And
as the father to
as the father figure that he is, not just in our country but beyond. You heard what the Madagascar president said, as my father, I'll come to you for advice. So as the father, he has to be even-handed. If in dealing with your children, you show one that you love him more than the rest, you are caught in trouble. And those children could grow up with extreme sibling rivalry that they may never get over, even when they become full adults. So he has to show even-handedness, greater even-handedness. I don't think that the letter that Umar wrote should be dismissed as just one of those letters. This woman, they say, I've been told that in terms of erudition, in terms of competence, she's the best for now. And because she's the best for now, and she's the most senior, the president, interestingly, she's even from the hometown of the governor of Plateau State. So I'm wondering what the governor is doing at this time. The governor, has to also play his part in ensuring that the choice of the NJC prevails. It is not the job of the executive to choose someone for them. And the executive shouldn't push and push until their own choice does not get the job.
Okay, I have Professor Butali from Hawaii in the United States of America. Colin, thank you for joining us, Prof.
Good evening, Ayo, and good evening, Babajide.
Good morning to you.
Just want to thank you. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You are listening to yourself.
Go ahead, Prof. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say thanks for informing those of us on the other side of the world and for bringing us to date with what's going on back home. My only contribution is I think it's high time we go for merit instead of federal character, especially for sensitive positions in Nigeria. Otherwise, we will not be able to maximize the potentials that we have. And if we don't do this, we will be playing catch-up to the rest of the world. Nigeria has got so many people that can perform more than the people that we're currently seeing now. And it is a disservice to our country if we don't tap into these potentials. Thank you very much. That's my contribution.
No, thank you for that short one. Solomon, rounding this off?
Yeah, I agree that we need merit. But then if we say that a state has to be represented, why can't that state present her best in that particular area?
The process of that state choosing
exactly.
it, if it's in our constitution that all the 36 states must be represented.
Why can't we bring the best from the state?
The best from the
You
states.
understand? We can bring the best from the state.
The state should be involved.
Yes.
Exactly.
Headhunting
Yes.
the best.
Exactly.
So
We
they throw the best
push
forward.
the best forward. So then aside from that, you see, now this issue of even-handedness, we've seen history.
Sure there'll be even-handedness?
You know, this issue of even-handedness, we've seen examples in this country. You remember in 1976, after the death of Muritala Muhammad, and then T.Y. Danjuma was supposed to step up as the most senior person that would have been the chief of defense staff and all of that. But then what did he do? He waived that for sake of unity. You know, he had to waive that so that Shehu Musa Yaradua could take that position, who was a far junior officer, who had to move 2 steps forward in order to give a sense of belonging. Because T.Y. Danjuma is a Christian, Obasanjo is a Christian, you know, and so we needed to balance the equation on a religious ground, you know, and all of that. And so we had to bring up Shehu Musa Yaradua. Do not forget, the same thing happened in 1966, where the officers, the senior officers at that time, we had people like Ademulegun, you had people like Ogundikpe, and then you had Aguiyi Ironsi as well. But then there was a Colonel Memelari, who was the first Sandhurst-trained military officer. But then the others were his senior, but by level of commission, he was their senior. You know, and all of that. And so you had a situation like this where, in the end, it was Aguiyi Ironsi that was made the GOC. Now, because we must give everybody in this country a sense of belonging so that we know that we are in the same country, because it's creating too much tension, if some people feel that they are left out.
During Buhari's reign, both the number 1 and the number 2 were Muslim. During Gawan's reign, Gawan was a Christian. Way was a Christian as well, and he was the number 2 person.
We are so conscious of those factors now.
You see, with every passing year,
yes,
we have become extremely divisive.
Yes.
We now put accent on religion, put accent on tribe.
What happened in 1993 wouldn't have happened in this 2010.
Nobody fought Gawan over the fact that Gawan's deputy was a Christian. Way was a Christian. And you know how long Gawan was head of state. Yes. So, and people did not quarrel about the fact that Ediagbon was a Muslim, and Buhari was a Muslim.
Nobody even remembered.
But increasingly, just the same way people did not bother that Abiola and his vice presidential candidate were both Muslim. But we have become so divided as a people now that all of those issues we now take seriously. It's a terrible thing.
That tells you a lot. Maybe, like I told somebody, sociology is now what determines electoral outcomes and no longer events.
Solomon,
maybe this is where
thank you for your contribution.
You're welcome.
And the maestro himself, Babajide, Kolade Otitoju. It's been nice. And that's all we have today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalists Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalists Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. God bless Nigeria and bye for now.